This is the Seven Figure Standard Podcast, hosted by Arash Vasugi and Mikey Stiller, with mindset and strategies to help you break through and create personal freedom.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Seven Figure Standard Podcast. I'm Mikey Stiller, joined by my co-host, Arash Vasugi, and we are so happy to be with you for an excellent podcast episode this week. We're going to be talking about something that I know all of you are going to want to hear about, because if you're listening to this podcast, you are interested in living a successful life. And there is nothing Arash does better than simplifying things. Sometimes we can make success so complicated, like it has a million steps. And today, Arash is going to get into the 3 steps of successful living. All right, Arash, how are you?
I'm great, Mikey. How are you?
I am doing great as well. And I'm excited to get into these 3 steps. So let's have it. What is step 1?
Before we get into step 1, we have to define what success means. And to me, it means living successfully, which I could take to a different meaning, is living life on your terms. Like really doing the work you love to do, spending time with your family or close ones, how you want to spend it. So we have to first understand that. The biggest thing that holds people back is they're afraid of loss. And so we want to eliminate that. Our soul hates being boxed in. And there's another person inside of us dying to come out. So starting with step 1, it's finding what you love and loving what you do. And then you've got to discipline yourself to go do it. Now, there's a lot of people who are probably listening to this, if they're anything like me, and they say, I would love to find that. And then they get so purpose-driven where they say, I need to find out what my life's purpose is. And then it gets them stuck, because your life purpose, you're going to discover, and it's going to find you when you're going after goals based on how you want to live. And so too many people are settling for doing the work they don't love to do, settling for hanging around with the people they do based off habit, but could not grow them the way they want to grow and could drive them crazy. See, we have infinite potential inside of us, and it's dying to come out of us. That's on our side. And so we have to allow ourselves to give ourselves permission to go after what really drives our soul. Like what drives me may not drive somebody else, and that's fine. What drives them may not drive me, which is fine, because we're all unique. But we're here and really here to excel. I don't believe that we're here just to do mediocre work. I believe success is our responsibility. I believe wealth is our responsibility, because we have so much potential inside of us. If we just started tapping into it more, it will express itself. You and I talk about this all the time, where I will tell you, could you imagine doing what you don't like doing? And no. you always tell me no. And I feel the same way. And then I said, why are people staying stuck? And it's because they're not allowing themselves to dream. They've lost that. See, Mike, I want you to think about this question. Do you know anybody who is really creating a life that you respect, that you really admire, that you're like, they're really making it happen, they're really serving at the highest level, who is doing what they don't love?
No. You can't maintain enthusiasm and juice if you don't love what you're doing.
Yeah, you can't. So step 1 is deciding, what do I want to put my time and energy in? Step 2 is putting your time and energy to your chosen field of something you really love that could seem so out in left field for some people if they know you closely. But we have to put all our energy into that. And then step 3 is you have to have it congruent with service. When you lose yourself in service, you're going to be rewarded so greatly. I've said it on so many different podcasts, whether we've done them on leadership, whether we've done them on the law of compensation. Anytime we talk about wealth creation, it's always service, service, service. And when you lose yourself in service and you focus on how you can add value to others, you're going to be rewarded greatly. Those are the 3 steps. Now, someone's going to listen to that and they say, that's too simple. Work the ideas before you tell me it's too simple. But ask yourself, am I doing what drives me? Am I doing what I really love? Or am I afraid to make that next step? Make the next step because the time is going to pass anyway.
God, this is so good. You know what I immediately thought of whenever you're going through this is this same formula applies to every single area of your life. So let's say that you want to have successful living in your family or in your health and fitness. You can take the same exact recipe that you just gave us and apply it there.
Well, that's what it is. If you really look at successful living, it's your ability to solve problems. That's what it is. And the degree of our success is an exact proportion to our ability to solve our own problems first, then obviously solve problems for the masses if you're an entrepreneur. Because our life will always be an exact proportion to how well we solve the problem and how well we serve others. I think Zig Ziglar used to say it the best. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And there's nothing more accurate. And we can look at it and grade our service. Well, let's say somebody graded their service at a 5. What they're really grading is their intent and their attention on their ability to get better at their craft. That's all they're grading. Now, most people will probably say, oh, I could have went the extra mile here. You probably could have. I'm not saying you couldn't have because we can always get better. But the best way to create a life of success is to serve better. And the more we serve, the more we're going to receive because the act of serving automatically activates the act of receiving.
I'm really glad that you added that into the formula because I think sometimes whenever people set really big goals, they put the blinders on and get really self-focused. And I love that that's in the formula. I also want to ask you a question that may not seem related, but I'll bring it back because it is. How many people do you think successful living is stopped or robbed by comparison?
Oh, quite a bit. And quite a bit are going after things to show off and because they're empty inside. And there's nothing wrong with having material things at all. I am not saying that, but have them for your reason. And that's why I say your want always has to be an authentic want. It's not for other people. It's to grow you. See, a lot of people don't understand why we set big goals. Our goals are what allows us to grow. It stretches us. And when we stretch out of our comfort zone, we never go back to that original state. But our goals, when we set big goals, you're shattering your old assumptions. You're literally walking into a new identity every single day. It's not for what we get. Getting is the effect of growing. So we have to understand that we have to decide to become a pro in life. Become a pro in a world of amateurs. There's a bunch of amateurs out there. There's a bunch of victims. There's a bunch of people not willing to work, not willing to build their grit muscle, not willing to build the habits, yet they want success. And I call them entitled. I always say, if you're not willing to do the processes, if you're not willing to do the repetition, if you're not willing to study yourself, you don't deserve to win. See, that's what the top 1% do. They're not the top 1% by accident. They're the top 1% because they develop guts. They develop disrupting their comfort zone. And they develop the ability to serve. And I will give you guys a real honest assessment. Somebody who's living successfully is never satisfied with how they serve. They're always looking to up the game. They're constantly looking at how can I make it better? How can I do the same way of service, but do it so much better? Why? Because they're always growing.
I want to get your thoughts on this. You said they're always developing. They're always developing. They're always developing one day at a time for a lot of days in a row. We talk about how you have to do today's work today.
Well, we can only grow today. We can only do today's growth today. Now, we could speed up the growth by our intent, by our processes, and by our discipline. None of this is going to work without discipline. But none of this really works unless you accept the idea that I can do so much better than what I'm doing. And that's not by knocking yourself down. That's actually by lifting yourself up. I think we may have talked about it last time, but it's always in my mind. Um, Gratitude is the foundation of great leadership. It locks you in the present moment. Growth happens in the present moment. That's why I can't do tomorrow's growth today. I got to do the very best I can. I come from my future self from 24 months out in this present moment, but I'm locked in, but I accept that idea. I already accept myself living successfully and I own it. And when you do that and then simplify the steps, just simplify everything. Don't think there's 50 steps. Decide exactly what you want to do and make sure you love doing it. And you may not know you love it until you do it. So give yourself the ability of time to do the repetitions to see, oh, I really enjoy doing that. And if you don't like it, do something else. And then focus on your ability to do it. Put your heart into it, burn your bridges, go all in with it, and get so damn good at what you do. And then lose yourself in service. That's the formula.
So good. And when you say that, you're talking pretty equally about both ways, meaning you can't try to cram yesterday's work into today because you didn't do it yesterday. You can't have regret over yesterday and try to fit it in. You can't try to fit in next week's work now to speed up the result. So it goes both ways into past and future and remaining present.
Yeah. When you learn to let go, which we did an episode a few weeks ago on letting go, when you learn to let go, you're going to tap into the best version of yourself. I was talking to a client on a coaching call this week, Heidi. She's wonderful. And she goes, well, how do you tap into the best version of yourself? I said, I don't intellectually know what the best version of myself is. So I can know when I've been at my best, but that doesn't mean that's the best version because I'm hoping to be a lot better than that. I said, I just turn it over to my subconscious mind. I tell myself, I'm going to operate today from the best version of myself, and I don't define what that means. I let it go and let my genius take over. The key is living loose. When you're loose, you're free. And when you're emotionally free, you're going to be financially free. When you're emotionally free, you're not going to worry about what other people are thinking of you. You're going to tap into that alternate identity that we've talked about on past episodes.
That's so good. And I'm so glad that you brought it up in today's episode. I also want to mention, because we're talking about remaining in the present moment, how can you think from your future self, but remain present?
Because your future self is real. And I want everyone to understand that. You are not your past. You're not your present. You're defining your future. So you create the image in your mind. You write it on paper until it's so locked in and clear. Then you see yourself behaving like that person in this present moment. So it's still in the present moment. Everything is created in the present moment. But we could tap into somebody that's so much wiser than us 2 years from now. We're going to be a lot wiser than we are now in 2 years. Somebody that is a lot more mentally tough. Somebody that eats adversity for breakfast. So you tap in, and every decision, every action, every discipline, every standard you make is coming from that person in this present moment.
All right, Arash, let's get into the action step for today.
Well, number one, I want you to ask yourself, am I doing what I love? And if you're not, I want you to write down, what would you love doing? Because your purpose, if you want to know the secret to purpose, your purpose is in the middle of your strengths and your passions. Right in the middle is your purpose. And if you already know and you're doing what you love, then really go to step 2. And I want you to put a game plan together of how you're going to improve your ability to do it. How can I get better at what I do? And for either group, for either camp that I'm talking to, lose yourself in service. Train yourself to leave every single person better off than you found them. Become a great listener. Hold the image of your clients, the people in your circle, not as they are, but as they can be. And you're going to use these 3 principles, live it every day, and you're going to watch magic happen in your life. It is going to show up. But always see yourself, and this is critical, that you're the very best in your craft. Even if you're just starting, even if that voice says, no, I'm not. That voice is a liar. You're training yourself on how you're going to live in the future. But you live in the future right now.
So good, Arash. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this episode, and I hope all of you did too. If you do, please share this with one of your friends, family, share it on social media. We would love to have them come listen to the 7-Figure Standard podcast as well, and we will see you next week for another episode. Thanks, Arash.
Thanks, Mikey.
Thank you for listening to this episode of 7-Figure Standard. We hope you found the insights and strategies helpful on your journey to success. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform to help us reach more people like you. To learn more about Arash and Mikey and how Voss Coach & Co. can help you achieve your goals and reach new levels of success, visit vosscoachandco.com. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of 7-Figure Standard.